Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Molechap here, coming at you with another StarCraft cast. And here we got Jangbi versus Soulkey. This is from a Pro League match from 2000 and... trying to remember. I just checked a minute ago. 2012. So the very end. I think this is the last season of Pro League ever, actually. The end of 2012. This was in July of 2012, and we got a match between Jangbi and Soulkey. There's Soulkey on your screen right now, playing a Zerg player, playing for Woongjin Stars. And so what I'm trying to do a little bit more of coming up here, we got the new season of ASL starting very, very soon. And so what I want to start doing is actually looking at some of the players in the ASL and seeing, you know, the matchups that are happening in the ASL, if they've happened before. I want to start kind of like just looking at you see, look, StarCraft 2 logo in the top left-hand corner, by the way. It's because this is when they were like transitioning into doing like dual Pro League games or dual game Pro League matches, I should say, where they would do StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1 matches. She's like, get off your phone, you're on the camera. Does she have two phones in her hand? That was weird. Or maybe she had a weird case. Anyway, yeah, so Soulkey is going to be playing in the first group of the season 12 of the ASL. So I wanted to give him a little bit of a highlight here. I'm going to try and start looking at the ASL players. And always got to show the white people in the audience. Always got to put white people on camera every single time. Anyway, Soulkey is an interesting character here. So Soulkey was a player that in this era, in the late KSL era, he was actually a very good player, but he wasn't able to really quite get any, you know, personal success at a high level. I think the first OSL he was in like 2010 or something like that. He was in OSL, and then in 2011 or 12, like the last several Star Leagues, he got into the round of 16 a few times. Got in the round of 16 a few times, so he was actually, you know, a pretty strong player. Able to get into the round of 16 consistently is not too easy of a feat. And, you know, of course, he ended up losing to some pretty good players. You know, Zero was one of them, actually. Haya, Lita. So, very, very strong players there. He was kind of losing to, so, you know, he was kind of at that level where he was not quite the best of the best, but he was really solid. So then fast forward to the remastered era, right? And he actually comes into remastered and does really, really well. He got 4th place in ASL season 3. He got 3rd, 4th place in KSL season 1. He actually won KSL season 2 in 2018, but that was kind of the last we've heard of him for a little while. He placed okay in KSL and ASL. He got to the top 8 in 2020, 2019, but you know, he hasn't won anything basically. So that one KSL from 2018 is his only real Star League win. So, but here he is now. He's going to be in the next season of ASL, and he came out of the offline qualifiers, which is a difficult process to get through. It's really difficult, even for the top players. Even you know, your bourgeois have a hard time getting through the online qualifiers. Actually, it's online qualifiers this time instead of offline. So yeah. Anyway, Soulkey is going to have a hard fight ahead of him to win this ASL, but it's kind of like, well, you know, he did pretty well in the recent like race battle league that happened for Brood War in Korea, and so maybe he's gonna be able to make a resurgence here. So anyways, I picked this game against Jangbi from the Pro League from back in the day because he is gonna be playing a Protoss player in his first match in the group stage of the upcoming ASL. He's gonna be playing against a Protoss player called SS1NZ Sins, I guess. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Who's a pretty good Protoss player, who I had not really heard of much at all, but he's been in a lot of ASLs recently, doing pretty well. So anyway, so this is some old school ZVP for Soulkey to preview sort of his ZVP that he's going to be playing in the ASL. And this is a nice juicy 2012 VOD. So we got like 480p going on. We got the supply count on the screen. This is like luxurious VOD going on right here compared to some of these older VODs that we've been watching. He's actually going to sneak some Zerglings into Jangbi's base too, which, you know, I haven't really mentioned what's been going on, but, you know, it's been... well, I guess I should have mentioned it actually because it's a little bit interesting that we didn't have like a major wall off by Jangbi. He kind of like is gotten to expansion later. He went for tech first, and so this is why we're seeing Soulkey able to put on some pressure. He's actually gonna run Zerglings at the main after they were being chased around by the Dragoon and Zealot to come for the surround on the Zealots at the front door, and he's going to absolutely annihilate Jangbi's front door there. Now, what is Jangbi going to be able to do? He only has one Dragoon. It's going to die to these Zerglings pretty quickly. He's microing it back really well, and actually Jangbi is losing some probes, but the Soulkey going after the probes instead of the Dragoon and the Zealot, it means he's not going to be able to just take them out and then deal with the probes next. So very well microed by Jangbi, bringing those probes out, ended up saving the day for him. Corsairs just chilling there. I'm surprised, really surprised he hasn't A-moved the Corsairs across the map, actually, because if there's only Zerglings, then he can be getting some Overlord kills while this is happening and try and slow down the Zergling onslaught. He's trying to get a cannon up here. He's blocking it with probes and Zealots. The Dragoon as well, able to be a sort of a mobile cannon. Imagine if that Dragoon was not alive because it got killed earlier during that Zergling attack. He's not going to be able to protect these probes and these Zealots very well at all. If he'd picked off those other things earlier, it would have been a much different story here. But instead, he defends, and the cannon gets up, and Jangbi stabilizes. I feel like that was an opportunity for Soulkey to really take advantage, and he almost, well, he did take advantage of the situation, but he could have clinched the game, I think, there, if he'd played that a little bit differently. The Dragoon surviving and the Zealot surviving, the probes going, you know, he killed some probes, but like not enough to make it worth letting all of his Zerglings die to those units. So anyway, just an interesting thing, but the game will continue on at this point. He has those Hydralisks out now, of course, so he is going to be able to deal with the Corsairs pretty easily. There's only a couple of them. He's been, I think, probably producing more, but yeah, he's only going to be at 3 or 4 here, so nothing too crazy just yet, especially if one dies. Nope, they're going to be able to escape pretty well. I remember Jangbi is, in 2012, Jangbi is the best Protoss in the world. So, you know, this is not an easy match for Soulkey at all, but I feel like he is at least, you know, he's at least on the level that he stands a chance against Jangbi, so hopefully we'll be able to see if he can pull something off here. It's really hard for me to gauge where the situation is right now, so I think like if Soulkey had gotten an advantage in that early attack, I might put him in a winning position just because he is capable of doing that. But it's just I don't think he got enough of an advantage, right? Like Jangbi kind of played it a little bit weird and got tech first instead of the expansion first, and you know, I was looking at stats, so I wasn't really paying attention to the initial build, so I apologize if there was some indication of that happening, and I just kind of wasn't looking at it. I was just wanting to make sure I talked about Soulkey for a little bit there. But anyway, point being though, I feel like Jangbi's a little bit ahead, but it kind of depends on what the situation is, and I'm not sure, because Jangbi lost some probes, he lost time getting his expansion up, but Soulkey made a lot of Zerglings, so he kind of lost some econ there as well by making Zerglings instead of drones. So it's because it's not really a standard situation, it's hard to really gauge that, so we're gonna have to kind of see moving forward. And one good indication is the supply counts. And by the way, on the little ticker thing on their bottom right of your screen, Soulkey is on the left side of that, and Jangbi is on the right side of that. So Jangbi actually has about 20 supply lead over Soulkey right now, which is pretty significant. Especially considering he doesn't have a lot of troops. He's got a few DTs, and he's got a couple High Templar, a Dragoon, and a Zealot, basically. So a lot of that is probes. So he's got a very substantial economy going for him right now. Soulkey actually might have a similar economy, but just less stuff on the map, because he only has a few Hydras and a few Lings, and now some Scourge on the map as well. Oh, he spots that Dark Templar. Wait, Overlord, where are you going? Overlord is running away from the Dark Templar. Oh, one Corsair's gonna get caught out. He hasn't been making those Corsairs too consistently. It looks like he might have stopped at 3 or 4. And oh, those Scourge, what are you doing? Scourge, They ran right by the, okay, this is just scouting Scourge, I guess. So maybe actually getting a scout off is more important than killing a Corsair actually in this instance. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him that one. But the Scourge flew right over the Corsairs, so that was a little bit weird. Jangbi now 30 supply ahead, and oh, actually, just as I say that, a bunch of mutas popping out and a few more units being morphed, so the deficit going down to 20 immediately. And you know, he saw, oh, there's only 2 Corsairs. You kind of stop making Corsairs. I can do this muta switch. I can wreck your zealots because he does not have a lot of ground forces. He does have High Templar. Storm is probably finished upgrading by now, so he's got, oh, and a Dark Archon as well, with 3 kills on it because it counts the kills from the Dark Templar previously. Now that Dark Archon is not going to be able to cast any Maelstrom yet, but eventually it will. In the meantime, so, oh, it's going to go ahead and run in there and just lose the Scourge again. So Jangbi forced to fall back to his cannons, and this means that he cannot put pressure on the map with those zealots just yet, because of this situation with the mutas there. He just wouldn't be able to win them with the mutas. He actually produces several Dragoons. Dragoons are not the best against mutas, but if you have a lot of them like that, then they could put enough pressure on the mutas that it's much harder to dive in and pick off the High Templar and things like that. So going Goon Heavy is an interesting choice here. There are a fair amount of Hydros on the map as well, so, but I don't know. Yeah, Goons are just generally not as good as Zealots and Templar against the Zerg ground army, right? So it's a little bit of an interesting situation to see that here. And it might be because he was like, okay, well, I'm behind on Corsairs. I need some sort of anti-air here other than the Storms and what have you. So he is now moving out here with a significant amount. It looks like he made basically 2 rounds of Dragoons there, or I guess maybe 1.5 rounds of Dragoons out of his gateway. So he's got 10 or 12 now Dragoons, I think. And that's going to be plenty to kind of shepherd those High Templar. If he sticks them around in the right place, they're going to be in good shape. Now, he doesn't have that many Zealots, though, as a result. So the Zealots are going to be a good counter to the Hydralisks. Oh, Muta's going across the map for a bit of a counterattack here. And did he spot that? I'm not sure if he spotted it, but it looks like Jangbi kind of falling back. Like, well, now he kind of knows now they both know where each other's armies are. But it looks like Jangbi was maybe thinking about falling back to defend there. May have just been hunting around the map for overlords or something like that. Another Corsair goes down. He has basically no air. Just that single Corsair, which is damaged, is not going to do anything. Oh, the Dark Templar might be able to get some free shots off on these Hydralisks. Very nice. And the supply count has kept... the difference in supply count is kept about even this whole time. Soulkey's still been falling a little bit farther behind, but you know, as they've raised up to the 100 level, you know, the 20 or 30 at 40 to 60 or 40 to 70 is much different than 100 to 130. Looks like Jangbi is trying to put on some damage here. Soulkey's looking to get a bit of a surround. The lurkers coming in from the top get stormed. He's got a couple storms left. Oh, he doesn't. He left his observer at home, or it was killed. I thought I saw he only had one earlier. So this beautiful spread of lurkers actually is going to be very, very nice. He's going to either force storms or he's going to kill a lot of units. Hydra's coming in. Looks like he might be out of storms, ladies and gentlemen. The mutas are actually waiting in the wings as well. Not sure why they were waiting and not participating in that battle. Well, that might be why, I guess, because they can easily get stormed because they clump up. But he had an opportunity to dive in there with the mutas and try and take out the High Templar. He actually might have been worried about. Actually, he might have been worried about the Dark Archon. He might have been waiting for the Dark Archon to die before he went in with mutas, because one Maelstrom, of course, would take care of that entire muta flock. So the deficit of supply has lessened, and now Soulkey is almost caught up to Jangbi, and usually the Zerg is behind in the ZVP until the end of the game. Essentially, they play scrappy with lurkers and defend, but the Protoss plays with a larger supply count. So that's not unusual. So for them to be nearly even in supply, again, Jangbi just macroing really, really well, though. Pulling ahead in supply again. And he's actually going to run these mutas up and just take out that probe real quick. And these are the same mutas. He's been keeping them pretty alive. Just as I say that, one dies. But He's been doing a good job of kind of keeping those Mutos in good shape, not taking any major storm hits or anything like that. Soulkey only on 3 bases, by the way. So he's gonna have to shut down this attempt at a third base by Jangbi, and he has been shutting it down very successfully. Oh no, he comes in here, some nice lurker burrows on top of the Zealots, but the observers there, they get surrounded and killed off too quickly without enough support there. And I think with this amount of Zealots, he needed a lot of lurker spines to land on that clump of Zealots in order to win the battle, and so losing those lurkers is actually a huge deal. Muta's now coming in. Now that Dark Archon is no longer around, he's going to try and come in here and at least bait out storms from those High Templar in the back. Those High Templar are all engaging the Hydras, though. He has taken out most of the High Templar, though, so only one storm landing on Hydralisks, and the rest of the High Templar dealt with by the Mutas. The Dragoons were kind of engaging with the Hydras, and so they couldn't really defend against the Mutas as a result. So even though there were just a few Mutas there, he was able to pretty much take care of the Hydralisk very effectively. But again, Jangbi's macro has just been carrying him here. He's now, again, 50 supply ahead. Soulkey might be able to play scrappy enough to deal with this, though, because there's a dearth of High Templar. Looks like he doesn't even have any High Templar in the back coming in. The Observer gets picked off as well, so those lurkers are going to force Jangbi away. Jangbi not able to press this situation at all without the observation of the lurkers, of course. And without High Templar either. I'm sure he's got several waiting at home that he's macroed up as his reinforcements, but he's just kind of working with the forces out in the field right now, running around the map, basically. Soulkey down to less than 80 supply. He's just really struggling to keep up in this. He's playing extremely well, but struggling to keep up, and just basically, like I said, getting out macroed by Jangbi in this situation, who's getting a third base up now, finally. Soulkey did a good job of running those Mutas up there and stopping it from happening a couple times, but now he's transferring those probes over. He's just mined out in his main, so he's still only going to be mining at 2 bases this entire time. But still looking pretty good for Jangbi, I think, without Soulkey able to get a 4th base anywhere. I'm really kind of surprised that he hasn't tried to take a 4th somewhere on the map, maybe in a not hidden, but like a remote location to draw Jangbi away. Maybe he just realized that he couldn't defend it. He's been spending all of his money on units to try and fend this off rather than getting that base up. But I feel like he really is going to be hurting, especially in a few minutes. He's going to start mining out his main, and then he's going to be really in bad shape. Yeah, you can see there the mineral patches are getting skimpy there. High Templar also back into the mix, so that is going to possibly spell doom for Mr. Soulkey here. He's got his lurkers spread out nicely. They're not clumped up very much at all. They're in a really nice array, and they're on a high ground ridge as well, so it's a nice defensible position, but you cannot defend forever in one spot as the Zerg player. You need to be able to defend in multiple places to defend multiple bases. Yeah, that rhymes. He's not gonna be able to do that. Jangbi about to mine out his expansion, though, his natural expansion, which is interesting. Oh, he kind of went in there and it looked like that was another opportunity to try and pick off some High Templar with those Zerglings. He missed out on that chance. So a couple, just little things here and there. Missing that Dragoon at the beginning, missing the High Templar in those early battles, missing the chance to pick off some High Templars here in the late game, are the reasons why I think Jangbi is still going to be able to just steamroll him eventually. There's January, the coach of Samsung, looking on eagerly as her star Protoss player seems to be about to steamroll Soulkey very soon. Soulkey is finally trying to get a 4th base up over here, and moments later, it's going to get picked off by those Zealots. So very nicely done by Jangbi to just go ahead and make sure that never gets off the ground. Soulkey is running a drone, I think, to the bottom right as well, I think, or something like that. He really needs that 4th base. But again, though, if he can kind of keep this up, there might be a moment here in a minute where, what is this, a little bit of a lurker drop? Double drop. He's dropping the natural and the main at the same time, but he's dropping the natural right on top of some cannons, which he may not have known were there. Now he's going to go ahead and drop lurkers in the main by some cannons too. Not good. Not good, Soulkey, at all. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he just didn't know those cannons were. He hadn't scouted it. I don't know what happened there, but not a wise decision to drop those lurkers there. I mean, those cannons probably weren't on his vision, but he could have checked with an overlord or something first, or seen it and fallen back instead of doing the drop anyway. You know, you don't want to do a suicide drop with lurkers. When you're behind like this, you can't really lose any lurkers. And look at the supply count now, 190 to 140. So Jangbi is almost maxed out. Which, you know, if he gets maxed out and still can't quite push in to punish Soulkey, that gives Soulkey an opportunity to try and catch up a little bit. But you can see Soulkey, I think, is trying to set up a base in the bottom right. And Jangbi has spotted it. He's on the way already with his army to try and take it out. And it's pretty well defended. Look at those spread out lurkers around the bottom of the ramp. That is a beautiful defense. Perfect setup. And Jangbi realizes as soon as he goes down the ramp, this is suicide for the Zealots, so he's going to go ahead and back out. I don't think an observer there anyway. Are we going to see Dark Swarm? That's an interesting question here, because I'm not sure what the tech level is at for Soulkey right now. But if he can get Dark Swarm on top of some of those lurkers, that's going to help out a lot too. It's going to force a lot more Psy Storms. The Dragoons will not be able to just pick them off as easily. So I guess not as good if they've got a lot of Hydras, I guess, going after the Zealots. So maybe he's not getting this Swarm on purpose. Here comes a bit of a drop coming in here, a Psy Storm drop, and he's going to go ahead and just nice hit the route of the conga line there. Gets 4 or 5 drones. Another Templar on the bottom. Going to the main base is going to get another 4, 5, 6 drones. So nice little attack there. And again, Soulkey has been really behind on economy this entire game. And he should know this is coming. Okay, he does know it's coming. He's bringing the Hydras over to protect the natural expansion. Soulkey really has got to be hurting now economically. He just lost a quarter of his drones or something like that. He's going to lose a few more, I think. Templar drops out. Didn't have enough energy, I guess, and wasn't able to actually get another storm off. So, but anyway, Jangbi now getting up a 4th base at the same time that Soulkey gets up his 4th base, or a little bit after. So, not a good situation for Soulkey. Again, Jangbi's mined out of 2 of his bases, so he's only going to be mining on 2 bases once this finishes here. But well, that's kind of interesting. He's going to put the lurker on the low ground, but he just lost his overlord to get vision up there on the high ground. So, I mean, we're just kind of seeing... I remember Soulkey is probably one of the better Zergs in 2008. Well, he's maybe one of the best Zergs in 2018. One of the better Zergs in 2021. In 2012, he was up there, but he was just not at Jangbi's level. And we're kind of seeing that in all these little things that are not mistakes, but they're just not, they're not what a Jadong or an Effort would have been doing. Those a little bit higher caliber Zerg players, I think, would have been taking those opportunities and doing a little bit better with them. So, where were those units going? They were going through a Nidus, but where were they going to? They weren't going to the bottom right, were they? Because we just saw the Nidus pop up on the bottom right after the units went into the Nidus. I guess they were going to the 3rd. Oh, he's going to try and get some of these High Templar, at least bait out some storms. He did one earlier, but he's not able to this time. Just too many Zealots and Dragoons around there to deal with that situation. Oh, he's going to go for a big drop. And a Doom drop. Well, actually, it looks like he's going to drop the 3rd. This is not like a Doom drop, actually, where you take out their entire main and all their production facilities and their tech at the same time. In fact, it looks like it might get chased off. Is he going to go up? Yeah, well, so those Reavers are at the 2nd base. The 3rd base doesn't have a lot here. It has 1 High Templar. But if he can drop in the middle of... But see, the thing is, Jangbi knows this is coming. He's fully prepared for this. Unless it's a fake out? Is this a fake drop? Like, you just send a bunch of Overlords to scare him so you can get your maybe 5th base up in the bottom right or something like that? Now the Reavers have been transferred over to the 3rd base in the top middle of the map, and so this drop, if it is a drop, if it's a real drop, is doomed to failure at this point. It's not going to be able to accomplish enough. And again, he cannot quite fly over all those cannons and just do a drop in the main or something like that. Oh, he's going to get a nice little Archon kill, pick off. Nicely done. It needed to be a High Templar pick off, though. He needs to be picking off those High Templar if he's going to have any chance. Okay, Devourers are out now. Is Plague an answer here? Is Plague something he could use in order to you know, soften up Jangbi, because they're getting to a point where they're both almost maxed. Like Soulkey is stalled long enough that they're almost maxed out, and so, you know, it doesn't matter if your opponent is ahead if you're both maxed. Like, you can't get more ahead than maxed, right? So if you're both maxed, then you might stand a chance to win one battle and then try and turn things around economically after that. The Reavers are going to try and deal with the units underneath the Dark Storm. Second Dark Storm comes in. He's going to try and come in here, and he's trying to pick off the Reavers. Zerglings going in to attack Reavers is not the best. At least they are baiting out the Scarabs, though. And while this is happening, the drop is redirecting that might have happened. I don't know if that's a real drop or not, though. I still am not sure. Lots of AoE happening here. The Dark Swarms are helping to make sure that he's forced to spend his AoE on the units underneath the swarms, and it looks like he might be actually going in for a drop after all. He's transferring a lot of units into this location, and it is a drop into the main. He's going to have a lot of units in here, tons of cracklings and hydras. He's going to take out all the gateways, so he's going to lose one naked hatchery, which is a small price to pay, I think, in this situation if he can get this entire main base. All of the gateways are going to go down so quickly. Cracklings do so much damage per second. It is ridiculous. Don't go into this. Just kill the gateways. Soulkey, I think, is your main target right here. I think trying to fight is not the way to go in this situation. He's already taken out several gateways, so Jangbi is going to be hard pressed to actually get back the units that he has lost in the skirmishes in the bottom. But it looks like Soulkey's lost all his units now in the main, and he's going to try and drop the top here and get stormed as well. So that is too bad. That was if he'd gotten maybe the rest of those gateways, he would have shut down Jangbi's production entirely. I mean, look how much minerals he's floating right now. Oh no, Zerglings running through storms is just no bueno for the Zerg. And so he's actually forced to use a couple extra storms there, but that's what those High Templar are doing. That's their job, is to sit around there. Look at that Jangbi on 0 gas, by the way. It's kind of interesting. He's actually been spending a lot of gas on these High Templar and other high-tech units. So he's completely out of it. But he's floating, you know, 3,000 minerals, which, you know, if he had those gateways, he could be using to make zealots and what have you. Although he does have 3,000 minerals, so he can afford to rebuild the gateways pretty easily. But again, Soulkey did lose his attempt at a 5th base in that situation. And Jangbi's kind of fallen back, I guess. He fell back to deal with his main. But now he can just go around and make sure that, you know, he doesn't have to kill the bottom right base. He can just make sure that Soulkey doesn't get any other bases, and he'll still win through attrition. Even if he lets Soulkey have that base down there, because Soulkey's mined out his main is natural. The 3rd base is mining out soon. So he can just ignore that 4th base, not really worry about it, and just win the long game if he wants to. And that looks like what he's kind of trying to do. We see that Zealot in the top left, making sure that Soulkey doesn't get an extra base there. Another drop coming in here on the side. Is he going to be able to run his drones away? He had a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of warning for it. Doesn't quite get too many drones out of it. It looks like only 3 or 4 drones lost, though. A skirmish going on in the middle of it as well, and it looks like Soulkey might have been caught off guard because a lot of Zerglings dying there unnecessarily. And he's defending this choke rather well with a lot of lurkers, but I believe that the AoE is going to be enough. And he's actually going to be able to, yeah, he's going to bring in the Reavers here. He's not even going to have to bring in the High Templar. I was going to say, like, he's clumped up, so you know, the High Templar can kill multiple lurkers, and they are in fact doing so. Look at his Soulkey. That is a really nice Nidus, actually. He's been able to spam a lot of units out of there to come out and reinforce this bottom location. If he loses this 5th base again, I think it's over. I think it's over. He has to defend this time. Otherwise, if Jangbi comes in here and stops him from getting 5th base, it's over. And here is the last defense, I think. He's got layers and layers of lurkers, but the Reavers don't care. The High Templar don't care either. And he's going to push in through every layer of lurkers. The Dragoons are firing there as well, with a few observers in the mix in addition. The Reavers have kind of been left behind. The Zerglings have an opportunity to get in there. Oh, and he's actually got, excuse me, actually got Hydros in his main. Oh no, those Hydras would be such a game changer in this bottom right battle if they were actually in the battle here, but they're not. He's going to try and come in behind the army, though, from the north, trapping Jangbi in there, and he actually is going to come in and pick off the Reavers from behind. Jangbi's forces are kind of stopped up as well, so both players missing out on some of their advantages here. And it looks like Soulkey is going to hold bottom middle. He's only 25 supply behind-ish right now. He's going to send those drones over there. If Soulkey can get that mining right now, and a nice little storm drop, again, killing several drones. Could have been worse, though. He's even gonna pick that High Templar back up, run it right up. Their bases are right next to each other, so it's like he didn't even have very far to go to actually do that drop. It's like the shuttle traveled like 5 feet over to the other base, and he's just like, oh, we'll just hop back to these cannons then. And the observers again highlighting that there's a dozen Hydralisks going to waste in his main. I mean, they're not. I guess they were there to stop drops, to stop the shuttles from going in there at some point, but there's no minerals there anymore. It doesn't even matter. Coming in here with one swarm and one storm cleans it up. 2 storms, I guess. 1 swarm and a few lings, but it's just not enough. He needed more stuff there. Actually, he needed a ton of stuff there because, like I said, there was a few there's a few High Templar there, so he's just gonna be able to storm whatever comes through that swarm. So Jangbi coming in here, trying one more time to finish off that 5th base, and again, he needs to hold that 5th base at all costs. Or it will cost him the game, but this time he doesn't have the layers of lurkers. He doesn't have those dozen Hydralisks at the bottom of the map. He's forced to run the drones. He's gonna lose the hatchery. Oh, the drones even getting roasted by storms as they try and retreat as well. He's gonna lose that hatchery, and the observer really, really wants us to know that those Hydralisks are not part of the battle, and that is just an unfortunate little mistake that, you know what, sometimes that happens and you forget about those units. And you know, there's no reason at all for him to click there. There's no reason to check there at all. So there's no reason why he would see them unless he happened to remember they were there. Or, you know, sometimes you get desperate and you look at your main map and you're like, where's there some units on the map that I can pull in here? And you might notice it, but he's not going to notice it. He's going to die with units in reserve, unfortunately. And it looks like he's gonna not try and go down that ramp again. It's just a really difficult ramp to go down. But like I said, he doesn't need to. Jangbi does not need to go down that ramp. He just needs to stop the 5th base, and he has shut down the 5th base multiple times. And then it was up and running for a little while, and now he's shut it down again. And now the supply count definitely tells the story as well. That, oh, and let me finish. Wait for this storm drop to finish before I say the supply count. Yeah, because he just lost 10 drones. 60 to 150. And let me do a little math here. Carry the 1, add the 13, and Jangbi's going to be owning the game here pretty soon. This might be the last stand here. Yeah, in fact, at this point, he's like, all right, well, I can't break down that ramp, but I'm just going to go for the jugular now. You know, I've cut off all of your supply of money. Now it's just kind of time to go where you're vulnerable, which is pretty much everywhere else, and check what's going on. Looks like there's the Hydras. There's those Hydras. They've finally gotten into the game. A little bit too late, though, to make a difference, unfortunately. So Soulkey's going to be going down here pretty soon. There we go. There's the GG. Jangbi, the best player in the world, takes out Soulkey in 2012. But, yeah, like I said, you know, we'll see if Soulkey has obviously improved his game enough to, you know, win a, what did I say, a KSL a few years ago, you know, and take first place in that. And so, you know, he's obviously hasn't won anything recently as a solo player, but we'll see what he can do in the ASL, which is coming up pretty soon. Let me actually just check that real quick. The first Group A is going to be August 28th at some weird time of day because it's in the Korean time zone that's going to be viewed there. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching. And yeah, and of course, the KSL games are going to be I'm sorry, ASL games are going to be on August 28th. I do not know. Actually, someone let me know, please, if you know how long it usually takes Tasteosis to come out with their VODs that they do. If you guys don't know, Tasteosis, they do the commentary after the fact instead of live. They do commentary on the VODs for the ASL games, and then they get published on the ASL's YouTube channel a little bit later, but I don't know how much later it is. So yeah, and I'm still thinking. I was thinking about doing this before, but I'm still thinking about trying to organize some KSL watch. I'm sorry, I don't know if I keep saying that. ASL watch parties where we all get on Discord and watch the Tasteosis VODs together, and hang out and chat about them. We might do that soon, but I gotta figure out how to make that work a little bit. And part of making that work is knowing when the VOD will come out, so we can plan around that too. So anyway, we'll figure it out before long. And thanks very much for watching. GG.